Hey friends, it's Chrissy with Stronger Every Day. Welcome back to part 2 of our series on obviously Christians living with depression and anxiety, but when we're suffering. So what happens there? Where is God? We talked about that in part 1. Does God even care when we're suffering? Part 2 is how to stay close to God during our suffering. So I wanted to read a verse. It's Psalms 126, 5 through 6. For those who plant in tears will harvest with shouts of joy. They weep as they go to plant their seed, but they sing as they return with the harvest. That's a good one. Matthew 17, 12. In the same way, they will also make the Son of Man suffer. Romans 8, 17 and 18. And since we are his children, we are his heirs. In fact, together with Christ, we are heirs of God's glory. But if we are to share his glory, we must also share his suffering. Yet what we suffer now is nothing compared to the glory that awaits us later. How do you stay close to God during suffering? Friends, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but close to God during suffering. I can't fathom not having a relationship with God every second of the day. There's things that happen that I don't understand. I remember, this has been 10 years ago, 7, 8, 9. I'm not the best on time. It's been several years ago. Nick had hurt his knee right before we got married. And we kind of thought he was okay. He went to the doctor and I did not go with him, and that was probably my fault. There was a miscommunication there. A couple years after that, he had finished college and he got a job with our local police department. And he was there for like a month or two and then was going to go to the academy. And so when he got to the academy, they started running up a hill and his knee buckled. And he had to come home. That was a very confusing time for us. He was excited about the job. I was excited for him about the job. He was looking forward to the training. He was looking forward to all the things. And then day one, he came home. And so he had worn a brace for a long time, and come to find out, what the doctor had actually told him was that he had a torn ACL. Nick did not comprehend that when he told him that, and he was under the impression that it would, whatever had happened would eventually heal on its own, but he may or may not have to wear a brace for stability. And you don't have to have surgery for an ACL, but if you're going to be an active person, you need to have surgery. So what ended up happening is he had to have the surgery, and the police department let him go. And we worked really, really hard to save the money so that he could take time off from, he had another part-time job. And so that he could take time off from it. And so he was working, a lot of hours there. We were trying to save and scrimp money. And by the time his surgery was scheduled, he was able to take off almost a month. He went back to the job, kind of like a limited duty for a while. I didn't understand any of that while it was happening. I didn't understand why he had to tear his ACL. I didn't understand why I didn't go to the doctor with him that day. I didn't understand why the police department let him go. I didn't understand why he couldn't make it through the academy. He wanted that so much. I did not understand, but all of these things, God was saying, that's not where I want you. I'm closing that door. That's not where I want you. I'm closing that door. This is where I want you. I'm making an opportunity for you to have this surgery. This is where I want you. I want you back in school. He had finished his associates and he went back and got his bachelor's, and now he has the job that he has now. And it's benefited our family tremendously. That not in the fact that he's a high roller and he's making, mega bucks, but he's making good money, especially for someone in our area. He has good health insurance. He has a good retirement. It's things, he works, has nights, weekends, and holidays off unless there's a storm or something major happening. And so looking back 7-10 years ago, I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand God's plan. I'm wondering, how do you stay close to God when you know, we've talked before that it was a peanut butter sandwich a day. That's what we had. And if his mom didn't invite us over to cook, of course they had no clue that we were going through this, but if his mom didn't invite us over for dinner, then we didn't eat. It was hard times for us, and suffering through. God provided the whole time. I didn't see it in the moment with everything that was going on. Me just thinking, you know, we finally thought, we had a sigh of relief that he got a little bit better paying job, and it was, you know, we thought things were going in a certain direction, and then the door slammed quick on that. And you know, why did they let him go? It irritated me, but it didn't. You know, Nick didn't know. He didn't understand that this was going to be an issue. He had been on a foot pursuit, you know, a week before that and didn't have a problem. You know, just all the things. Why, God, where are you? And he was right there the whole time. It led us to where we are today, which he's in a safer job, right? He's making better money. He's happier. He's healthy. For the most part, he's had this last health struggle, but his knees are fine. You know, just looking for the glimpses, and we didn't understand back then why all this was happening. And so I think that's what's made us the people that we are today, is that we went through those harder times, and we saw God carry us through, but we didn't know why until after he graduated college with his bachelor's and got the job that he has now. And then it started making sense that was God closing those doors. That wasn't his path. Nick had taken a step to the left, and God shut that door to put him back on the right path, right? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's sometimes we're going to take a step and God's going to guide us back, right? There's times I've taken a step to the right and God said, nope, shut that door. Let's get you back on this right path. There's nothing wrong with that. How do you stay close to God? Could you fathom what you're going through without him? I can't. I couldn't. I couldn't then. I can't now fathom what it would be like without God. He has been our rock. There is no other way to say that. He has been our rock. I can tell you time after time after time after time after time that he has blessed us. Let me tell you this, and I haven't even told my doctor this. I get there early, so usually before most other people. That's just how I like it. I like to get there early. I'm not yet clocked in. It doesn't matter to me. I just like getting there and relaxing and making sure everything's ready to go before my day starts. And so I had got there and I had prayed. I knew what room it was going to happen in. And I had prayed, Lord, just lead him where you want him to go. Just handle this, Lord. It's in your hands, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. It's in your hands. In the middle of the biopsy, there was the spot that he was going for, and he saw another one that was not showing on the mammogram. And so he was able to biopsy that one, and the miraculousness of that that spot did not show on the mammo, but in the biopsy, going through with the ultrasound guided, he found that spot on the way and biopsied it. When he told me that, there was a 100% peace, and I knew God led him to that spot, because that's one that needed to be looked at as well. And so God led him there, something that wasn't even showing on the mammo, that God led him there. I haven't even talked to him about that. You know, we're pretty busy, and so I haven't even had an opportunity to tell him that. But that was God instructing. Every bit of that was God instructing him there. It's been hard because when you've got a family history that's on your mind, right, of the possibilities, and then when all of a sudden a spot comes up, it's on your mind. It's not my first time I've never had a breast biopsy, but I've had two diagnostic mammograms and then some ultrasounds. But it's concerning. And the whole time, me just saying, I remember sitting there to myself before work and saying, Chrissy, you have two options, right? You can respond one way or the other, the right way or the wrong way. No matter what this test comes, do you believe that God's in control? And my answer was yes. Then let it go. Does that mean I didn't think about it again? No, I did. I did think about it. And the fact that the results came back in 2 days versus 5 to 10 days, that was God. And I'm not saying that if yours don't come back that soon, it's not God. I'm just saying that for whatever reason, maybe they were slow that day in the pathology lab. But, you know, my results were back in 2 days. Was amazing. And do I understand? No, but I can, now that I've had that additional test done, I can understand and sympathize and understand what other women that are coming in and men that are coming in having these biopsies are going, what they're going through and how they feel and waiting on results to get back. I can understand and sympathize with that a little bit more. And I think sometimes God leads us through things that happen so that we have a better understanding. That's like us sitting here talking today. We communicate well together because we have a common core, and that's God. And that's also that we have or do, or we know someone who struggles with depression and anxiety. So we have things that we can understand. Some things I say resonate with you, and some things that you say back to me resonate with me. That's because we have a common core. We have a common goal. We have things that are similar in response. I think sometimes that's why God lets us go through certain things, is because so we can sympathize. Also because that causes us to draw closer to Him. If your life was rainbows and sunshine 24/7, do you think, can you honestly say that you would ever feel the need to call on God, to pray, to have a relationship with Him, to need Him? I don't know. I would like to say that I would. I can tell you that in good times now that I have a relationship with Him, but I've never had, no one has ever had a rainbows and sunshine 24/7 life. And so we really can't answer that question, but I would think for most of us the answer would be no. For me, who leans on God, I feel like He carries me so much more than anybody else. And what I mean by that is it always brings me back to that footprints. You know, it was only one set of footprints, and it was because I was carrying you. I feel like his arms have really built up over my lifetime of carrying me through. And sometimes I feel like He has to do that a little more for me than anybody else, and that's not true, but that's something that gets in my head. It's one of the things that stays in my head. That, and I will reflect on the time that I wasn't following God as closely, that I was a Christian, but again, I was fitting Him into my schedule when it was convenient for me to have Him in my schedule instead of the way it is now. And that's been a real learning process for me, and it's been one that I want to try to make up time. And I don't want to turn anybody from the Lord. I want to help them. I want Him to be able to use my body as a vessel to come through me and help people run to Him and see Him through me and think, whatever is going on with her, I knew her 5 years ago and whoa, something's going on there. So what's happening? And that's always my hope. So friends, I'm going to end it here. It's always my heart and hope that, honestly, before anything, that you understand this last part, and that is God loves you. I love you. Your family, your friends love you. And we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.